How's it going, everyone? So, unless you've been living under a rock, you guys know that one of the most insane, one of the most brutal leaks, quite possibly in gaming history, actually in gaming history, I don't think it's even a stretch to say that, the Insomniac leak makes the Grand Theft Auto leak look like nothing. This is one of the most insane leaks that I've ever seen from every facet, from the sense of private information of employees being leaked, a playable build of Marvel's Wolverine apparently being leaked online, an early build, of course, release schedule for Insomniac's upcoming titles, which I'll talk about that, and obviously, first and foremost, all the elements of the leak. It's one thing about their release schedule. The playable build, like, that sucks as well, and that being leaked online. Obviously, it's a complete disaster as far as this goes, but there's a lot of information to cover, and, you know, Remedy did put out a tweet, our sympathies to Insomniac Games and all the affected team members after all the effort and dedication they have poured into their games. They didn't deserve this, no one does. The hackers also leaked employees' personal information, which is truly disgraceful and shameful. That's the portion that is just really a bummer. The leaking of the personal information. I've heard some wild stuff about the personal information that has been leaked, so that's a bummer. As far as, like, leaks for upcoming games, like, that does happen. Like, this is a regular thing that happens in gaming, so, you know, I'm gonna cover that, and Insomniac, their release schedule looks pretty exciting, and I will cover the talk on the Marvel Wolverine info as well. Lance McDonald had a tweet out, and all this information is circulating online. Everybody's talking about it. I'll talk about the Wolverine build in a second, but release schedule. Okay, so this is the big thing. This slide is circulating online. 2023 had the release of Marvel Spider-Man 2. As you guys know, we have been talking about Insomniac being one of the most consistent development studios, and we've been talking about this idea that Sony's moving more into creating more DLC content and these bridge the gap kind of style of games, these 1.5 style of games. Spider-Man Miles Morales, you had Horizon with Burning Shore, Ghost of Tsushima with the Iki Island expansion, and so on and so forth. With Marvel Spider-Man 2, it looks like that'll be coming to fruition in 2025 with Marvel's Venom. Now, if you put 2 and 2 together and you saw how Insomniac was talking about the idea of a Venom-centric game, where they're like, we'll listen to fan reaction and we'll decide if we're gonna do a Venom game or not. At that point, I already knew, I kind of had the idea in my head, oh, you guys are doing a Venom game. It's either gonna be DLC or it's going to be a full-on game like a Miles Morales, and it looks like it will be a Miles Morales style game, given that it is scheduled to come out in 2025. That is exactly the same turnaround time that Marvel Spider-Man 2018 had into Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales. 2018 into 2020, 2023 into 2025. Love this. Want to see developers do more of this because game development time has increased so much. You keep a consistent flow of games coming out with these bridge the gap style of games. Yes, they probably don't take as much resources, but it gives you more of that content that you do want out of your favorite franchises. And with Venom, it's going to be a different style of game, of course. And with the foundation that they set in Spider-Man 2, it would seem like business malpractice to not do a Marvel Venom title. 2026, Marvel's Wolverine. I told you guys, those of you that were like, 2024, Wolverine's gonna come out. You guys were like, you guys were on something else, man. I was thinking 2025 because that would be the quickest turnaround. 2026 to me does make more sense. Look, when you're talking about turning around and releasing the big titles, 3 years is generally the shortest amount of time we see these days. Even with Insomniac, again, they did Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales in 2020, but it wasn't until 2021 where they released their next big title in Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. So that 3-year turnaround time does seem to be happening, and Insomniac is a large studio. I'm sure that they could do it quicker, but Venom in 2025, Wolverine in 2026, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Unfortunate about the playable build being leaked online, but it's an early build. I don't think that's the end of the world. Obviously, like, I am going to lessen it. I'm sure from a developer standpoint, I'm sure from Insomniac standpoint, it's an absolute nightmare, but ultimately when the game comes out, the build that's online is going to be a thing of the past, but I get it. Why? It's a disaster nonetheless. I know I'm lessening the impact of it, but That's my 2 cents on that. Spider-Man 3, 2028, could see that as a PlayStation 6 launch title. 2028 is when we're talking about the PlayStation 6 coming out, so if you're talking about Spider-Man 3 being a PS6 launch title, what a way to sell the PS6. I mean, PS5 had Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales as a launch title, PS6 having Spider-Man 3, not a bad idea to go. Will be interesting to see, and we know we're talking about 2028 here. A lot of things can change, the world could go to hell again, but with Spider-Man 3, it'll be interesting if it's a cross-gen game or if it is a PlayStation 6 only title. I foresee it being a cross-gen game. I mean, do you really want to limit a game that has the appeal of a Spider-Man 3 to a console that would just be launching at that point? And obviously you would hope that by the time the PlayStation 6 comes out, it's going to be a lot easier to get that console versus the PS5, but generally speaking, every PlayStation console being released, like, initially it's kind of difficult to get. The PS3 was even initially difficult to get, and that came out at a $600 price tag. The PS4 was super difficult to get for a couple of months, and then the PS5 was a little bit longer, of course, because the world was in hell, but I foresee it being a cross-gen title. 2029, Ratchet & Clank! Hey, that is a great news to me, because I want to see Ratchet & Clank. Now, 2029 is so far out that this game is probably in pre-production, and, you know, they're probably not thinking about it too much, but the idea of a Ratchet & Clank title in 2029, that is super exciting. And then Marvel's X-Men in 2030, probably a follow-up to Wolverine. You know, with Ratchet & Clank and X-Men, take those windows very much with a grain of salt. I would be very, very surprised if Insomniac pulled off releasing a Spider-Man 3, a Ratchet & Clank, and a Marvel's X-Men title in the span of 3 years. What I ultimately see is Wolverine comes out in 2026. I could see a bridge the gap kind of game for that somewhere in the middle of this. When you're talking about 2029, 2030, that's so far out that so many things are going to change before then. I think the release, you know, the release structure up to 2028, easily see this coming to fruition. Spider-Man 2 already out, Venom, Wolverine in 25 and 26, Spider-Man 3. That seems like I can comfortably lock that in. Maybe there'll be some fluctuations. When you're talking 2029, 2030, at that point, I'm just like, okay, that stuff, that is still going to be in fluctuation. And 2031 and 2032, they're talking a new IP there, so that'll be interesting. You know, a lot of Marvel, a lot of Marvel, obviously, from Insomniac these days, but a new IP in 2031 or 2032 would be interesting as well. Also, to talk on Marvel's Wolverine, of course, the Insomniac Games hack has leaked publicly now, as noted by Lance McDonald on Twitter. Expect Wolverine footage to start appearing online. Apparently, a bootable build of the game is in there, though it requires a PS5 test kit, dev kit, until someone backports it to a jailbroken firmware. Disaster. This is a disaster of a leak. Look, I covered the game schedule. That's exciting news for us to just have an idea of the schedule. Ultimately, all of that stuff was going to get revealed anyway. I'm sure it's not Insomniac's first decision to have their release structure and their plans leaked, because that is still tentative at this point. They don't want to put that information out there and, you know, get people excited, and ultimately they don't hit certain windows and release dates or release windows that are targeted right now, because those are targeted release windows. Things can change pretty easily, but the idea of a bootable build being leaked online, yeah, that's absolutely a train wreck, and really, really unfortunate. Again, the hack, this is one of the most insane hacks that I've seen, and as far as leaks go, like, the Walmart Canada leak was what it was. It was a hilarious leak in a lot of sense, because E3 was just coming up, and that was more humorous than anything. This leak is just more of a malicious leak, and, you know, with a bootable build being leaked online, that is going to cause footage being leaked and certainly be downloadable potentially at some point. That is just wild to think about. Think about the GTA 6 leak that caused such a frenzy, and rightfully so. It was an insane leak, and it was for a game at the caliber of GTA 6, of course. But this one is just on another level as far as how much of a disaster it is. And you're talking about, obviously, first and foremost, the leaked personal information is very, very much a bummer. That's the element of it all that, like, you know, puts a damper on everything. You know, the Wolverine build being leaked online, obviously unfortunate. Even the release calendar, I'm sure from an Insomniac standpoint, unfortunate. But really, the biggest unfortunate thing is the leaked personal information. So that is a very, very big bummer. But that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your guys' thoughts in the comments section down below. Obviously, sound off there. Let me know your thoughts on the release schedule. Nothing too surprising to me, although very happy that Ratchet & Clank, even if it's going to be 8 years between Rift Apart and the next one, if it does come out in 2029, at least it's a franchise that's not being potentially forgotten about. But Sony, how about you do a Ratchet & Clank Future Collection so we don't have to wait 8 years to get anything Ratchet related? And guess what? Those games, bundle them together, 60 bucks I think people would pay with all the games included, including Quest for Booty and Into the Nexus, Crack in Time, Tools of Destruction, add trophies to Tools of Destruction. Yeah, easy license to print money there. Put it on PC as well, man. Do you guys like money? I know you guys like money. Take that idea and run with it, Sony. But that'll do it for me. Again, sound off with your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.